Welcome to the class of Descriptive Statistics of our FIBSc class. Students, up till now we have discussed population and sample from population. We have discussed different methods of sampling such as simple random sampling with replacement, simple random sampling without replacement. Further, we have studied how to draw stratified sampling or how to use stratified sampling when the data is heterogeneous. Further, we have taken some examples on systematic sampling and we have given note for multi-stage sampling and cluster sampling. So, in examination, you may have a question on systematic sampling and simple random sampling with replacement and without replacement. Further, a short note may be asked for stratified sampling as well as for multi-stage sampling or cluster sampling. So, with this, now we will go for third unit, that is summary statistics. In summary statistics, most important thing is that classification and frequency distribution. Friends, all of you know that when you collect data in its original form through questionnaire or through any type of survey, that type of data is called as raw data. So the raw data is unprocessed data in terms of individual observations, and this raw type of data, is in a very crude mannerly written or noted. So the most important thing for any type of analysis, we need to condense this data with the help of classification, and once the data is classified, we can present it in a tabular form or in a graphical manner. So classification is a tool to condense the raw data. Okay. So classification is the process of arranging the data into sequences and non-overlapping and homogeneous groups according to their common characteristics, or separate them into different but related parts of a phenomenon. For example, if we have marks of a students in a class, say for 50 students, and the data is scattered and we cannot have any conclusion from that data. So what I will do, I will make a classes of say interval 35 to 45, 45 to 55, 55 to 65, and accordingly I will just add the number of students in a particular class having those marks. So such type of classes are called as non-overlapping classes, and I am also maintaining the sequence, that is 35 to 45, 45 to 65. So in a sequential manner I will make the classes, and these classes are non-overlapping. That means any observation in the data must be classified into one class interval only. So such type of classification is called as non-overlapping. Further, homogeneous means having certain same characteristics. So homogeneous groups are made in order to condense the data. So what are the characteristics of classification? So the first thing is that classification performs homogeneous grouping of data. That is, number of observations having more or less same characteristics are grouped in a one class. Further, it brings out points of similarity and dissimilarities. That means observations of same characteristics are grouped in one, and the two classes which are at the first end and last end of the classification must show some dissimilarities. Further, classification may be either real or imaginary, and classification is flexible to accommodate adjustment. So one can make classification according to their adjustments and their observations and their study. So what are the objectives of classification? So the first and most important thing is that objective of classification is to simplify and condense the large data. Further, classification present the facts to easily in understandable form, and it allows for comparison of the data. Further, one can draw valid conclusions or inferences from classification, and classification relate the variables among the data. Classification helps in further analysis of the data. With the help of classification, we can eliminate unwanted data, and one can use the classified things to prepare tables, or it can help for preparing tabulation of the data. What are the important types of classification? So, according to study, the classification is divided into certain parts, such as geographical data. So, geographical data is generally classified area-wise, region-wise, state-wise, country-wise. Okay. Further, it is according to rural area or urban area. So, when the data is classified according to certain regions, it is called as geographical data. Chronological data is a historical type of data. Chronology means with respect to time. So, with respect to time, when you are dividing the data, it is called as chronological data. For example, if I have a data of say prices of commodities, so I will classify that according to say months, say January, February, March, April, May, something like that. So such type of data is called as chronological data, means it is classified with respect to time. The third type of data is a qualitative characteristic. So qualitative characteristic is also called as attribute. Qualitative characteristic is the characteristic which is according to the quality of the unit. For example, if I classify the number of students in a class according to their say sex, male or female, or if I classify the students according to their class, that is pass class, second class, then first class, and merit, say according to distinction, that is if I classify the data in the class according to merit, is a qualitative type of classification. Or if I classify the observations in a market according to their sale, so low sale, medium sale, high sale, so such type of data is called as qualitative data. For example, in a college, if I classify the observations or students according to their religion, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christians, etc., so such type of classification is called as qualitative data. The next type of classification is called as numerical or quantitative type of data, which is classified according to their magnitude. If I classify the number of students in a class according to their marks in say 12th standard, say from 35 to 45, 45 to 65, 65 to 45 to say 60, 65, 60 to say 85, and above say 85%. So if I classify this data according to quantitative characteristic, it is called as numerical type of or quantitative type of classification. Now I'll give one example of each type of classification. For geographical classification, if I classify the sales of a company region wise, say in Mumbai, suppose I have 4 regions, north, south, east and west, and suppose this is the sale in millions of rupees of a company, then this type of classification is called as geographical classification. Chronological classification means classify the data according to time. If I classify say sales in lakhs of rupees in a departmental store, say for 6 months, say January 2020, February 20, March 20, April 20, May 20 and June 20, and suppose this is my data, then such type of classification is according to chronological order. Then next type of classification is a qualitative data. So Classification in qualitative classification is according to presence or absence of the attribute or quality in the given data. For example, if I consider sex of a person, literacy of a person, education of a person, say class grade of a student in the class, then such type of classification is called as qualitative classification. So, we will discuss in qualitative classification we either have simple classification. Simple classification means when the data is divided into two classes only, which is also called as dichotomy. So dichotomy means divide the population into two classes, then it is called as simple classification. For example, population is divided into two classes, male or female, or population is divided into two classes, that is educated and uneducated. So such type of classification is called as simple classification. When we classify the observations according to more than two characteristics simultaneously. For example, if I have population, I divide first into smokers and non-smokers. Further, the smokers are divided into literate and illiterate. Further, literate population is divided into male and female. So, this total population is divided into more than two characteristics simultaneously, whether the person is male or female, whether he is literate or illiterate, whether he is smoker or non-smoker. So such type of classification is called as manifold classification. Further, the quantitative classification is the classification which is based on quantitative measurements of some characteristics such as age of a person, marks obtained by a student in a 12th class, income of a family, production of a certain company, sales of some departmental store. Such type of classification is according to the quantity, and therefore quantitative phenomena under study is known as variable, and this classification is called as classification of variables. So the value taken by the value taken by certain characteristic is called as variable. For example, if I have 50 students in a class and 50 students in a class, and suppose I have taken a test of 50 marks of these 50 students, then marks obtained by the students are classified according to their marks in the test. For example, if I have 5 students having marks in between 0 to 10, there are 7 students in a class having marks in between 10 to 20, there are 10 students in a class having marks in between 20 to 30, there are 25 students in a class having marks in between 30 to 40, and the class having marks in between 40 to 50, in which we have suppose 3 students, then such type of classification is called as quantitative classification, and it is classification of 50 students. Okay, so such type of classification, quantitative type of classification can have this type of properties. The first and most important properties is this type of classification is exhaustive. Exhaustive means what? One observation must be allocated to one class only. So the classification should be into non-overlapping classes. So these classes are non-overlapping classes, means here the observations, suppose I have observation 30, the observation 30 is included in this class, okay, in this class and not this class, because in this case upper limit 30 is excluded from this class as it is included in this class. So these classes are called as exhaustive, means each and every item in the data must belong to one and only one class. So we cannot take class of the type 0 to 15, then 10 to 20. So here upper limit of this class and lower limit of this class should match with each other, so that these classes are exhaustive. What do you mean by mutually exclusive? each item should be placed at one and only one class. So observation should be added in one class only. The next important property of this classification is suitability. The classification should conform to object of inquiry. So whatever things which are in our mind, according to that we must have the classification. For example, if I am interested in knowing if 30 is the passing limit, then I should have the classes of the type 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, then 30 to 40, 40 to 50, so that I can easily classify the failed students and passed students in the class. Or if I have the classes of the type, say how many students are there in past class, so it is 35 to say 45. Above 45, suppose there is a second class, then 45 to 60 is my another class. If I have a class of first class only, then 60 to 70 is my third class. And if I want a distinction class, then it should be 70 and above. So suitability should be there so that I can easily classify my observations according to my individual. The next one is stability. So only one principle must be maintained throughout the classification analysis. So there should be stability in the classes. The most important characteristic of classification of this quantitative characteristic is homogeneity. That means the item included in each class must be homogeneous in nature, and flexibility. A good classification should be flexible enough to accommodate new situation or change situation. So this is the definition of frequency distribution. So frequency distribution is a table used to organize the data, and left column is also called as classes or groups, includes numerical intervals on a variable under study. This is another definition which is somewhat difficult. You can either learn this definition or this definition. So frequency distribution is a statistical table which shows the set of all distinct values of variable arranged in order of magnitude and either individually or in a group with their corresponding frequencies. So right column contains the list of frequencies or number of occurrences of each class or group. So intervals are normally of equal size, but this is not always true. You can take intervals of your choice and they may not be equal in size, and covering the sample observations range. That means it should cover the smallest as well as largest observation in the data set. It is simply a table in which the gathered data are grouped into classes and the number of occurrences which falls in each class is recorded. So the frequency distribution can be classified as series of individual observations. It is either discrete frequency distribution or a continuous frequency distribution. Series of individual observations means you just name the observations like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and here the observations. For example, if I have student number 1 and suppose he had chosen 5 subjects, subject number 1, subject number 2, 3, 4, 5, and accordingly suppose these are the marks in the examination. So this is just series of individual observations, and there is no classification as such. So this is only a single order tabulation. So my order of classification is only subject. So subject wise marks of the data is your one-way classification. For example, second type of classification is a discrete or ungrouped frequency distribution. Discrete means a variable which takes only some isolated values such as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Such type of observations are called as discrete data. For example, if I have number of graduates in a families. Suppose I have 10 families, and in that families, if I have number of postgraduates I have surveyed. For example, in family number 1, if I have 0 postgraduates, In second family, if I have one postgraduate, in third family, if I have three postgraduates, something like that, then if I classify this data according to characteristic number of postgraduates in a family, say X. So X can take value 0, 1, 2, 3 and there should be one more column I need to add, that is 4. Okay. So here I have two families having 0 postgraduates. Okay. So here 1 0, here 1 0. So number of families having no postgraduate are 2. Number of families having one postgraduate 1 and 1, that is 2. Number of families having 2 postgraduates 2. Here there is 2, 2 and 2. So there are 4 families having 3 postgraduates, 2 postgraduates. There are how many families? Only one family having 3 postgraduates, and there is one family having 4 postgraduates. So this data is classified according to number of postgraduates. So such type of data is called as discrete frequency distribution. Similarly, if I have a number of children in a family. So number of children in a family may be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And if I surveyed this data, say for 100 families, then that will be discrete frequency distribution of number of children in a family. Similarly, suppose I have a continuous type of frequency distribution, which is also called as group frequency distribution. This is most important frequency distribution from statistical analysis of given data. So continuous data series is one where measurements are only approximations and are expressed in a class intervals within certain limits. Note that here discrete frequency distribution is obtained through the process of counting. That means you count something. Number of students in a class, number of children in a family, number of telephone calls occurred in a certain office, number of fruits which are decayed in a fruit basket, number of say Cadbury's in chocolate box, number of green marbles in a boxes, something like that. So here this process of counting is very important for discrete frequency distribution. Similarly, for continuous frequency distribution, we are interested in measuring something. So when the thing which are related to, when we are discussing the things which are for continuous frequency distribution, measurement part is very important, and the measurement of variable is done through various ways. For example, if I measure the time period to do certain work, height of a person, weight of a person, or number of or you can say the marks, average marks obtained in certain examination, or when you are measuring intensity of light, when you are measuring the current flowing through certain wire, or voltage, or when you check the density of certain material, or volume, or some area, such type of things we are going to measure. And when we are measuring something, and if we have to condense such type of data, continuous frequency distribution is used. So in continuous frequency distribution, the class intervals theoretically continuous from the starting of the frequency distribution till the end through without any break, and therefore the variables which can take every intermediate value between the smallest and the largest value in the range set is denoted through, it is classified through continuous frequency distribution. For example, if I have marks obtained by 20 students in examination, so suppose these are the marks of 50 students. By grouping these marks into the class intervals, say 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, up to 50. So some of the class may be empty, having no observation in that class, and such type of classification is called as classification of continuous frequency, continuous type. Now, in case of continuous frequency distribution, one has to consider two methods. The first one is called as inclusive method of classification. So, in inclusive method of classification, here both upper limit and lower limit are included in the class. For example, if I have observation 60, it is included in this class. If I have observation 90, it is included in this class. If I have observation 119, it is included in this class. So both upper limit as well as lower limit are included in this class, and therefore it is called as inclusive method of classification. But here you can see that the classes are not continuous. Here we have 62, 69. So the upper limit of this class is 69, and here lower limit of the class is 70. So there is a gap in between these two, and in inclusive method of classification there is always a gap in the intervals. So in the another method is called as exclusive method of classification, where the classes are continuous in nature. For example, if I have observation 100, this 100 will be not included in this class, but it is included in this class. Okay, so here the class is included here. 100 observation is included in this class and not in this class. So in this case, upper class limit, this upper class limit 70, 80, 90, 100 are excluded from this class, and it is included in the next class, and therefore it is called as exclusive method of classification. The things or the you can say definitions or the terms which are very much related for continuous type of frequency distribution are class limits. So class limits are the limits. These are the two numbers which designate the class. So this class limit, for every class there may be there are two class limits. One is called as upper class limit, the other one is called as lower class limit. Class limit may not exist for first class or last class when we have open-end classes. For example, if I have a class of the type, suppose in this case, if this is my classification, here I may delete these three classes and may write here the class less than, suppose I write here less than 20, then here lower class limit is absent. So less than 20, so this type of class is called as open end class. Or if I write here like this, more than 50, if I write it here more than, say, if I write more than 50, then this type of class is also called as open end class. Okay, so in open end class we have either lower limit is absent or upper limit is absent. But generally, when we have two limits for the given class, one is called as lower limit and the other one is called as upper limit, then these limits are called as class limits. Now, what do you mean by class boundary? Class boundary is the boundary or limit up to which actual value of the variable is included. For example, this is the halfway point that separate the class. For example, if I have class of inclusive method of classification, say 180 to 199, then 200 to 290. But if I have observation 199.4, then 199.4 is included in this class and 199.6 is included in this class. So you subtract 0.5 from lower limit and you add 0.5 to the upper limit, so that you will get class boundary. Note that class boundaries are obtained by subtracting 0.5 from lower limit and adding 0.5 to the upper limit, and in this way you can obtain class boundaries. So for this class boundaries are 179.5 to 199.5. Okay, so class boundaries are obtained by subtracting when the classes are not continuous, when there is a discrepancy between this limit and this limit, you just subtract 0.5 from lower limit, add 0.5 to the upper limit, and you will get class boundaries. Then next one is called as class mark. So class mark is a single point which is midpoint of the class interval. So it is just average of upper limit and lower limit, or average of upper class boundary and lower class boundary for the given class. So in this case, class mark is 180 plus 199 divided by 2. So this is your class mark. Now class size is length of the class interval. Class size is length of the class interval. It is obtained by difference between two consecutive upper class limits or lower class limits. So what is the difference between these two? 200 and 180. Difference between 2 is 20. What is the difference between upper class limit? Two consecutive. Consecutive means the classes are of side by side type. So if I consider these two classes, the difference between 180 and 200, difference between 199 and 219, such type of difference is called as class size, or it is also called as length of the class interval. So in this case, length of the class interval is 20. Here also, here you can see that the class interval, length of the class interval changes here. Here the length of the class interval is 5, here it is 10, here it is 20 and 10, something like that. Here also class boundaries are different. Okay, so in this way one can obtain class boundaries. Now, as earlier discussed, open-ended classes are the classes that do not have either an upper limit or lower limit, or both upper limit of the first class, lower limit of the first class and upper limit of the last class is absent. Now, the next point I would like to discuss is cumulative frequency. So cumulate means to add. So we are just adding a frequency in a particular manner is called as cumulative frequency distribution. So cumulative frequency distribution of non-overlapping class intervals can be discussed like this. For example, if I have class intervals say 0 to 20 and frequencies like this. So if I ask question to myself, how many observations are there having value less than 20? So there are 4 observations having value less than 20. How many observations are there having value less than 40? So it is 4 plus 7, that is 11. If I ask question to myself that how many observations are there having value less than 80? So how many observations are there having value less than 80? All these 4 values. So 5 plus 2 plus 7 plus 4. So 11 plus 2 13 plus 5 19. So such type of frequencies are called as less than type cumulative frequencies. So cumulative frequencies are of 2 types. One is called as less than type. When I try to find out the observations less than upper class limits, then they are called as less than type cumulative frequencies, and those are 4, 11, 13, 17. And how many observations are there having value less than 100? All the observations. So all the observations means 20. So here the first observation is as it is. Second one is 4 plus 7, that is 11. 11 plus 2 is 13. 13 plus 5 is 18. And 18 plus 3 is 21. So the last value is sum of all frequencies, that is 21. So these are called as less than type cumulative frequency. If I ask question to myself, how many observations are there having value more than lower class limit 80? Now I am considering lower class limits. So here, how many observations are there having value more than 80? So it should be more than 80. So how many observations are there having value more than 80? 3. How many observations are there having value more than 65? How many observations are there more than 40? 10. How many observations more than 20? 70. And how many observations more than 0? All the observations 20. Okay. So here I am considering lower limit to find more than type value. Okay. So more than 83. Now it is something like this. 3 you write as it is. 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5. Here I should have 8. Then 8 plus 2 10. 10 plus 7 17. And 17 plus 4 21. So these are my more than type cumulative frequencies. So in this way one can compute cumulative frequencies. The next one is that how to find relative frequency. So relative frequency is the ratio of class frequency to total frequency. Now in this case, sum of all frequency, that is total, is equal to, here we have total is equal to 200, isn't it? So here total is equal to sum of all frequency total is equal to 200. Okay, and here relative frequency is 7 upon 200, 11 upon 200, 20 upon 200, and like that. So class frequency divided by total frequency is called as relative frequency. So this is a question, one exercise for you. How many students obtain less than 50 marks? How many students obtain at least 60 marks? So this particular question I have done for you, and this is a question. For this you just compute more than type cumulative frequency. CF means cumulative frequency, and relative frequency for this data. Also obtain class boundaries and length of the class interval for given data sets. Okay, so this is exercise for you, and you just go through this particular notes. I will also share these notes in your Google class. Okay, so this is today's unit 3 topic which we have discussed, and in the next lecture we will discuss how to draw frequency curve, histogram, frequency polygon, Ogilvy curve for the data sets, and that will be the graphical presentation of classified statistical data. Okay, so that will be our next lecture. Okay, thank you all of you.